Hi, everyone, and welcome to Inside AWI. My name is Rebecca Matter, and I am joined by a bunch of people today. But first off, my normal co-host, Pam Foster. Hi, Pam.
Hi there. Hi, everybody.
Glad to have you here today. Katie is out this week, but she'll be back on our next Inside AWI. But this topic I'm super excited about. It was from a request from listeners, from other members, and it's really about hearing from other AWI members who have had success, who are already having success. Normally on these monthly calls, you hear from us, you hear from me, you hear from Katie, you hear from Pam, and we're usually instructing you on something, but we thought, what the heck, let's bring them forward and let them do the teaching for a change. So the focus for the session is really about ensuring your success next year, and I'm excited for the timing of it. Next year is going to be huge for writers. When we started this company 20 years ago, it was a big kind of unknown secret opportunity for writers. But the last 2 decades have showed us that writers are in huge demand. I'm going to show you some things about that in a minute. But the numbers for next year, the projections, they're just going up, up, up. Marketers are spending more than ever on things where they're going to need more and more writers. So that's super exciting. And the reason we're having this call now is that you're still in such a good position to take advantage of that. It's only December 1st. Oh, my gosh. It's December 1st. So the new year is right around the corner, but you have all month to prepare and get ready to put your plan together for what you're going to do next year so that next year will be your best year. I'm also excited to be with the people I am with today, and let me go ahead and show you who they are because they are some of my favorite people and favorite AWI success stories. I have met all of them through AWI, and I am fortunate enough to not only get to work with them, but also call them friends. The one on the left is Steve Maurer. Many of you know him. I'm going to invite them to speak in just a little bit. Many of you know Steve if you're on our LinkedIn group, though. He is our master moderator and is such a helpful person and has just been so much fun to watch over the last 2 years. I've met him at multiple events. I work with him. I hired him to work on our LinkedIn site, on our LinkedIn group because of his just ability to help other people and willingness to lend a hand and help the next generation move forward. And it's awesome. It's been awesome to watch him grow into the writer that he's become today. In the middle is Mindy McCourse. Many of you know her as our now executive editor of Barefoot Writer, but when she first started out, she was just another AWI member, taking the copywriting program, showing up at boot camp, having a chance conversation in the lobby, and watching her go from that year I met her. She told me, you know, Rebecca, I've only made $30,000 as a writer so far, but this year I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for the full 6 figures, and I would love to blog about it. And it was this great opportunity. She blogged all year and showed everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all year on Wealthy Web Writer and has turned into this wonderful writer. We've watched her grow, and now she heads up our magazine as well as has her own successful copywriting business. And then finally, Les Worley on the right. Had the pleasure of starting with him a couple of years ago. And again, just another so generous, so genuine, so helpful of a writer. Has been so successful in his own right, but has been such a wonderful ambassador for our members at helping them follow in his footsteps and has taken a different path. His writer's life looks different than the average typical writer's life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we get to Les. So our goals for this session, we're going to cover what the best paying assignments are, just to give you a top level view of this opportunity, especially if you're new to AWI or new to Inside AWI. We're going to talk about quickly what clients look for in a new writer if you're just starting out. We're going to tell you what to do in the coming year to ensure your success, and at that point I will hand it over to our guest, and then we'll also tell you what not to do to make sure you stay on that success path, and finally what steps. We'll close things up with the kind of common steps that you need to become a well-paid writer. So before I hand it over, though, just to make sure we are all on the same page, there has never, ever been a better time to be a writer. The demand is huge for freelance writers. Copy and content is all around you, regardless of your industry, health, Christian, financial, self-help, B2B, whatever it is. Copy and content is booming. When AWI started 20 years ago, there were like 4 assignments for writers. Now there are 70-plus assignments for writers, and all of those assignments can be within one company. If you just think about for a second the last time you were on social media or on a website and you saw an ad and you clicked on that ad or you went somewhere to any website and there was a link to another page and there was a landing page and then you got an email, and just look at your inbox, look at all the pages on the website. Copy and content, that's all around you, and all of that is written by writers, and all of that has to be written on a regular basis. Businesses today, they don't have a choice. Back, you know, when Nick Usborne and people like that started, it was this, oh, maybe we should get a website. Wouldn't that be great to have a web presence? Maybe we should get on social media when that came around. It's not an option anymore. You have to be online. Imagine trying to do business with somebody, or imagine someone trying to do business with you and them not having a website, saying, yeah, trust me, trust my building company to put your roof on. You go to look for them and they're not online, right? You can't not have an online presence anymore. It's part of your credibility. It's part of your proof. But that's not what those businesses are in business for, right? They're in business to manufacture widgets or put on the roof or do accounting services or whatever it is. They're not in the business of writing copy and content. You are. So every one of those businesses that needs that presence now also has to be a publisher and a marketer. They need writers like you, and they have to churn that stuff out regularly. You don't just put up a website and walk away. Who will forget about you? You have to be updating that content and talking to your prospects on a regular basis through email. There's just so much opportunity within every single company. It's really changed the way we do business. And variety, no matter what kind of writer you are, hypey, non-hypey, sales, non-sales, long form, short form, editorial, story-based, or research-driven, whatever kind of writer you are, whatever your background is, whatever your passion, whatever your interest, there's so much variety for you, from emails, blogs, articles, websites. If you like the more techy analytical stuff, search engine optimization, pay-per-click ads, so many opportunities for you to make a living as a writer, and the money is great. If you're brand new to AWI, you are going to hear us talk about money a lot, especially me. I'm a big fan of talking about money because I'm a big believer that it's one thing to have the skills. It's a whole other thing to have people pay you for those skills. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. And writing as a hobby is fantastic. I journal, I write as a hobby too, but I also like to get paid for it because that's why we're here. We're here to make a living as a writer. In order to do that, we have to get money. So when we're talking about the opportunities here today, and every time we're talking about the opportunity, we're not talking about $5 articles, we're not talking about $50 magazine things or $50 blog posts. We're talking about real opportunities, you know, sales letters that pay $2,000, websites that are $5,000 up, online content, e-newsletters. These are the kinds of rates that we're talking about when we're talking about writing opportunities. So it's important that you realize that, because that's kind of what is framing this conversation. What is driving it is that level of professionalism that you are putting out there. When you're promoting yourself, when you're putting up your website, when you're thinking about yourself and your business, you are a professional providing a very valuable professional service, which is valued and therefore worth a lot of money. Which leads me to my almost final point. Trained online copywriters are more valued now than ever before. Back in the day, it was all about just quantity. It was about putting up as many pages on your website as you could. You could farm them out to a bunch of $5 writers in the Philippines. Didn't matter. Whatever, just get content on your site, it would be fine. Shoot emails out, it would be fine. People were waiting back in the day, right? AOL, you've got mail. Nowadays, it's like, oh, I've got more mail. It's all about being more effective and being a really great writer and understanding what you're doing. So nowadays, companies are paying a lot more and really valuing writers more than ever before. So it's important for all of you to know your value when you're coming into this opportunity, when you're presenting yourself as a professional. Quality content matters. If somebody has a lousy website, walk away. They do not value their website. They do not value their content. You want to work for people who genuinely have skin in the game, have something to lose or something to gain by selling their products or services. They want the content on their website to be great. They want every email that goes out to be effective. So know that when you invest in your training, when you take the time to develop your skills and hone your craft, you're increasing your value and you are worth a lot to those businesses. More and more customers these days are insisting on interacting online. I can't tell you the last time I called a customer service number. I don't want to call. I want to do everything online in an online environment. I want to find the answers to my questions. I want to engage with customer service. I want to resolve stuff that I need resolved online. So again, that's copy and content. There's a new thing now called UX copywriting, user experience copywriting. We'll be talking about it at Web Intensive this year. Because people want to be online in an online environment, we have to make sure that it's accessible to them, that they can get done what they need to do, that they can navigate websites. It's going to be huge. Another whole opportunity for writers next year. Competition is fierce. Look at your inbox. Look at social media. Social media advertising on Facebook is pretty much, they're out of supply. They have enough advertisers, I mean, billions of dollars being spent, that now it's about who's going to pay the most, what company is going to pay the most for the advertising. It is fierce. So they need to make sure that their copy and content is doing awesome. and more money is being spent because of that on digital advertising, because it's so effective, because all of their customers and prospects are online and want to be online. They're spending so much money, and the more money they spend, the more valuable trained writers they're going to need to make sure they get a great return on that investment. So know your value. When you're coming into this game, you are a highly valued professional copywriter, content writer, whatever you want to call yourself, web copy specialist. Know that value when you're going in and talking to clients. Where they're spending their money, just a really quick thing, everywhere. I mean, anything that you could think of, websites, SEO, this is pretty much the top 7 of where the money is going to be spent this year. We'll talk about this in future Inside AWAIs. If you're coming to the Web Intensive, we'll be covering all of this stuff. But this is kind of where a lot of the money will be spent this year. Then finally, before I hand it over to our team, what clients are looking for in a writer? This is something that I get asked every Inside AWAI, so I just want to knock it out right away. When a client is looking at you, at potentially hiring you as a writer, they are not looking for all of your past experience and the clients that you've worked with, even though that's great if you have it. If you have past clients, that's fantastic. What they're really looking for is genuine interest in their company. They're looking for writers who care, who really want to learn. They don't want you to come in and say, I know exactly what to do. You need to change all of this, and this is what you're doing wrong. They want to come in and say, hey, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in your products and services, and I want to help you continue to solve the problems that you're looking to solve. I want to help you continue your mission. I want to help you sell your products. Genuine interest will get you so far. And just enthusiasm. People like Mindy, I mean, she's so enthusiastic about Barefoot Writer and about our world and about helping people. How can you not hire her, right? Because she's just so enthusiastic and genuinely interested in what we do. That's what brought her into us. So have a genuine interest in the companies that you're going after. Professionalism, I can't hit this one enough. At every single turn, professional. The first email that you send out to a client, the second email, the third email, the 50th email, your website, at every turn you are professional. I get quite a few emails from people asking me to help them, as you can imagine. And a lot of times I can just tell that the reason why they're struggling a little bit is that lack of professionalism, the lack of quality in how they're putting themselves out there. It's like going out to interview for a job, right? The old-fashioned way of showing up. You would wear a suit, right? You would shave. You would be dressed up. You would have your hair done nice. You would be prepared. You would be a professional. And the same thing goes, even though we're writers at home, even though we're wearing our gym clothes and yoga clothes or no clothes, like whatever, however you like to write, it's still presenting yourself as a professional on the other side. We love new ideas. Clients want to hear from you. Clients want someone who emails them and says, hey, just thought of this. Have you thought of this, Rebecca? This would be a great idea. Bob White, to this day, still sends me an email. I get an email from him probably once a week saying, hey, Rebecca, thought of you. I saw this article. You guys should do this. Hey, have you thought about advertising here? Hey, have you thought about just ideas constantly, because you never know when that idea is going to hit, and they'll just write you back and say, hey, I love that idea. We should do that. Deadline-oriented, huge one. If you say you're going to follow up with me on Tuesday, you should follow up with me on Tuesday. If the copy, you say you're going to have the copy in on Friday, you should have the copy on Friday. Even before you start working for clients, deadlines matter. Follow through, say what you're going to do, and do it when you said you were going to do it. And then finally, teachable. I hate to keep calling Mindy out on this one, but teachable. I have worked with Mindy for years now. I have never left a copy critique call where we've given her feedback on anything, where her response was not, thank you, thank you, thank you. She never criticizes. She never is defensive. She never comes back and says, I don't want to do it that way. She always just takes it in, thank you. And then she tries to either make the changes or make the copy stronger down the path that we were hoping to accomplish. Being teachable is such a huge thing in this game, being open to improvement, because on both sides of it, if you think about it, from the client's perspective and from your perspective, we're on the same team, right? We want the copy to do as great as it can possibly do, because that's in my best interest as a client, because I represent the company and I represent the company's bottom line. And it's in your best interest as the writer, because if you're making royalties, you want the package to be as valuable as possible, as successful as possible, so that you make the most money as possible, and you want future work. So being teachable and being open is such a huge quality for writers. Okay, I hope my panel is ready. I'm coming over to you guys. So now I want to hear your advice for the coming year. Now, I did ask them ahead of time what they wanted to share today, and so I have put together a slide for them, so it's not like we're just scripting this all out. I do know their talking points, But for each of you, I'd like you to unmute yourself when I get to you, and if you can kind of take it over and share what you'd like to share about your bullets. So Mindy, we're going to start with you. If you can unmute yourself. Maybe. Mindy? I see you, but I don't hear you. Are you there? Fran, I'm not sure if you can help at all with Mindy. I'm going to go forward one and then come back. So Les, we're going to come to you. Are you there? Please.
I am there. I didn't expect to go first. How's everybody doing today? So this was a tough one. When Rebecca asked me to come up with, my best piece of advice, I actually came up with 3 because, one of the things you want to do for your clients is over-deliver. So there you go. So my first piece of advice is to not wait. Just go ahead and get started. If you haven't already, go ahead and get started because as with anything that's worthwhile in life, if you're going to be successful at it, including becoming a well-paid writer in 2018, you have to get started. So be bold, be brave, and just go for it. So how do you go about doing that? Well, if you haven't already finished the accelerated program, I found that the art of writing persuasive copy is the basis of just about everything I do these days. After that, you need to go ahead and select your niche, and then you just start getting clients. And if you don't feel like you're ready to get clients yet, well, you're in good company because if you're like me, you will always think you don't know enough or that you're not good enough, you're not prepared enough. I got to take another program, got to take another course. Well, there's always going to be another course to take. Take it from me, I know that. But once you get through the accelerated program, look through, the other courses that AWAI has to offer. And just take one. Pick one that suits what you're going after. You can always learn more later. Or if you just want to explore new types of copy later, or just to keep yourself current. But you don't have to go into, analysis paralysis to get going. The second piece of advice I have is that you should never let anyone else define your path. And I can say this from personal experience. Rebecca knows that I've called and talked to her many times. And I found out, the writer's life that Rebecca has or that Steve has or that Mindy has, that's their writer's life. The writer's life is different for everyone. Yours is going to be unique. The road that you choose to get there is going to be unique. A lot of the folks on the call today, your goal is to become a freelance writer. I know it is because that's what most of us as copywriters think of. But you might decide you want to be a full-time copywriter, a part-time copywriter. And you might end up being a full-time in-house writer instead of a freelance writer. And you might just love it. And again, I can speak to this from personal experience. Or you might do a little bit of both. So it's different from, everybody's is going to be a bit different. So the reason I know this is that today I'm a content director. I was a content manager, a few months ago, you might remember. I'm a content director now for a B2B technology marketing agency. And if you told me 3 years ago when I started with AWAI that I'd be doing that and freelancing on the side and making 6 figures and loving every minute of it, well, I wouldn't have believed you. But all those things are true today. So you want to listen to everybody's advice around you about what you should do and what you shouldn't do, especially if you see somebody out there who's really made it, in quotes. That only makes good sense. But we all make our own paths. And if you choose something to do something different tomorrow, that's cool. That works too. But you've got to get back to getting started. My third one, and I'll try to be brief because I'm probably going over here, but my third one is to be genuine. Be yourself, because you're unique. Your talents, your past experiences make you a unique person, and that's going to make your path to becoming a copywriter unique. So just be you. You know, when I talked, sorry, I have to remember this, but back at boot camp, you know, barely a month ago, Ted Capshaw and I were talking for a brief moment before the member spotlight on the last day of boot camp on Saturday morning. Rebecca had asked me to do this on Saturday morning, and I was really, really nervous. I don't like talking in front of crowds, even if they're on the telephone. But so I was about to go up on stage, and I told Ted, you know, I've got all my notes here on my iPad, but I'm really nervous. And he said, you know what? Why don't you just forget your notes? Just be you. That's why they asked you to come here today, Les. So just be you. And I said, oh, no, I need my notes. So I held my iPad up to the podium and started. And what most people that were watching don't know is that while I was fidgeting with the microphone, because I don't know how to speak in front of people, my iPad went off and the screen locked. And so I was like, well, I've already fumbled with the microphone. I can either fumble with my iPad, try to unlock the screen, and look sillier than I already felt, or I could do what Ted said and just be myself and talk. So for the next, not 10 minutes, but 15, because they didn't flag me off the stage, I just talked, you know, from myself and from what I knew and what I felt. And you know what? Everything turned out fine. It probably turned out better than if my iPad had not gone off. So the same thing happens when you write. So when I write, I have to do so using my client's voice, because every client's slightly different, but I use what's inside me to make what I write unique. And the clients like that. In fact, they love that. So don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't try to sound like someone you're not. Just let yourself be your most unique in your own unique value proposition, and you'll make it, believe me, I promise.
It's such good advice, too, and I'll actually post the article that Ted wrote about being genuine, because when we start out, it's so easy to compare ourselves. I'm never going to be like Bob Bly. I'm never going to be like Clayton Makepeace. I'm never going to be like Carly Ann Glade Cole. But the reality is you don't want to be. You're not going to be like them, and you shouldn't be, because what makes you unique is going to make your copy and content awesome. And it's when we stop trying to be like anybody else and just start being ourselves, and it's such a hard concept to wrap our mind around and to genuinely do, that's when your copy and content comes across the most genuine. That's when it's the most effective. When you genuinely believe in what you're saying and the way that you're saying it, it's going to resonate with your prospects that much more. Not only is it going to make you happier as a person, but your copy will just be better. So if you can just, like they always say, you do you. If you can just do you, your copy will be more effective. I think it's great advice, lesson. It's not something I think that most people would give as far as advice on how to be successful. I think a lot of people would say, you know, handwrite Clayton letters and practice what Bob Bly preaches, and you know, those things are great, but the reality is you can't be them because you're not them. They're them. So I think that's awesome advice, and I had no idea about your iPad. So way to cover it and make it look good. Yeah.
I still haven't seen the video, so, you know, I'm taking people's word that it was okay.
I've been told that all videos will be posted today, so by the time we are done, hopefully I'll have a link for you to see yourself, although I will tell you, I'm not a big fan of watching myself on camera because
I know.
you start picking at yourself. The other thing I want to tell everybody, too, is about your writer's life journey. You know, Les did such an awesome job for clients that they eventually wanted to hire him full-time. That happens a lot. The same thing happened with Pam Foster. I got the same call from both of them, like years apart, and the call was exactly the same. It was just panicked. Rebecca, I don't know what to do. They love me so much. They want to take up all my time. And my response was, so let them. Like, if you're happy with it and you like working with them, just define your own writer's life. Make them an offer that you can't refuse. Tell them exactly what you want, how much you want to make, the lifestyle that you want. Ask for what you want. The only way you're not going to get it for sure is to not ask.
And guess what? They'll say yes.
Yay! Oh, love that story. Thank you, Les. Mindy, I'm going to try to come back to you and see if you're able to, let's see.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yay! Yay! Yes. So take it away, Mindy. Tell us how to succeed next year.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, I feel like I should throw in a bonus tip, which is adapt. So I apologize for my sound not working earlier, but the nice thing is, you know, jump back in and adapt, and really that actually feeds quite well into my first tip, which is not to take yourself so seriously. What I've seen as editor of Barefoot Writer, and what I went through myself when I was first beginning 10 years ago as a writer, is that it's very easy to think, okay, I am going to be a writer, and you picture it in all capital letters, and you think that this is it, and this is really going to solidify your reputation and your legacy, and it's you, you know, from here on out. And what happens is people take themselves so seriously, and like I said, I did this myself, that you end up paralyzed. You're completely immobilized, and then you don't take action because you're worried that any copy you submit to a client, any spec you send out, any simple email that you send out into the world might have errors, it might present you poorly, it might really start everything off on the wrong foot, and then you just don't take action. But what I have found in the copywriting world is that there is such an incredible safety net for any time you need a leg up, that there's no way you can completely botch your career by sending anything out that's less than perfect. And I say that for a couple of reasons. First of all, absolutely, you still need to do the things that Rebecca mentioned earlier. Always be professional, be positive, put your best foot forward, but don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about being the serious black clothes wearing writer that people get caught up in as a stereotype, because what's going to happen is that you put yourself out there in the best way you possibly can, and then people will envelop you with tips and support, and they will help you become better. And one of the best lessons that I've learned is that nothing I write, no matter how good it is, no matter how good other people tell me it is, it can always be improved. And really that takes a huge burden off your shoulders, because you don't have to deal with that that idea that things have to be perfect, or that you have to write it and overwrite it and overwrite it, because no matter how good it is, when you submit it to a client, to a peer review group, to fellow writers, they will be able to look at it with fresh eyes, give you new ideas, and help you grow. So just remember, there's an incredible safety net in this world. Clients, fellow writers, they'll help you out no matter what, and you'll keep learning. You will never reach that stage like so many people ask, when will I be ready? When will I be ready? There is no gate that you cross over that says that you are now ready to compete in the world as a money-making copywriter. You are ready now, and you can learn some more. The same is true for me. The same is true for Les and Pam. Everybody who's already making money can still learn more, can still improve, but they're already putting themselves out there in a positive, professional way. So that's my first tip. Second, this is something that works for me quite a bit, is to use time distortion to get over any challenges you have. And if you've never heard of that, it's basically using the power of your mind to put yourself in a different, a different time era, essentially, to overcome the challenges that you have now. So let's say that you are challenged by a lack of self-confidence or by procrastination. It works really well for both of those. It's similar to those essay questions that you see, in magazines. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what would you say? So you sort of take that concept and you say, instead of looking at myself now, today, and going back in time, let me look at myself in the future, 1 year from now. What do I hope I will look like 1 year from now? What do I hope my writing business will look like? What do I hope my income level will be? And you picture it, and you make it a reality in your head. And then you picture what it's like to be that person making that income, running that successful writing business, having connections with these clients that you dreamed of working about. And you take that person and you move back into the current time with that attitude, that positive attitude, that capable presence, and then you tackle the problems that you have at present. So it's a way of feeling the joy and the pride and the relief that you'll experience in the future when you have accomplished these things. It's a way of helping yourself to feel those things now, which also helps you overcome things like self-confidence and procrastination issues. You're essentially viewing yourself as someone who gets the job done now. You're connecting your future self with your current self, and then you're able to feel that motivation and ability that you need to get things done now. So a couple ways to do that, a couple tangible ways, are to sit down and, I like this one in particular, write your own Wikipedia entry. So let's say a couple years from now, you're a hugely successful writer and you're actually up there on Wikipedia for anybody to see, and your successful writing career is listed out there. What would that look like? What do you want it to look like? Do you want it to include incredible sales promotions for these key clients? Do you want it to include published novels, nonfiction works, programs, speaking? You know, you can take copywriting principles and adapt them to so many different projects and goals. It can be whatever you want. It's like Les said, you want your writer's life to be the specific one that's right for you. So put it down in a Wikipedia entry. Imagine what you want people to read about you when you are up there on Wikipedia as a successful writer. Or, you know, you could take it down a notch and just write the about page for your professional writer's website. Write that as you would like it to appear in a year, or write the back jacket of your future book as you would like it to appear. And then you look at that and you imagine what it feels like to have that as your reality, and then you tackle your present. And it's, you know, if you think it sounds kooky, just try it. It's amazing to me how much it has helped to use this kind of time distortion to change your perspective on things. And then the third thing I'd like to cover is that the writing projects will always be there. Put life first. And what I mean by that is that it's very easy to get caught up in the idea that if you don't act right now, then there is no future, that you've got to get going right now, that you've got to put everything aside, that the writing world won't wait and you'll lose momentum and you'll be left behind. Now, it's absolutely true that there's probably never been a better time to be a copywriter, and that jumping in now, obviously, just like doing anything as soon as you possibly can, it will give you a leg up. It will help you get moving faster and earning the kind of money that you want to earn. But the interesting thing about the writer's lifestyle and being a paid copywriter, and really the best thing, is that it is a way to earn a lot of money, do something you like, but also to get your life back, because it's one of the things we talk about the most, even at Barefoot Writer, even at AWAI, that this lifestyle is a way to really reclaim your freedom. And it's challenging in ways to figure out, how do I balance going after my writing dream, going big, writing a lot, putting in the hours, with actually living my life and taking vacations and taking time off for a long lunch and doing the things that I want to do. So it's a fine balance between improvising versus being spontaneous. And what I recommend people do is try something called the unschedule. There's a writer for AWAI, Guillermo Rubio, who wrote a great article about this several years ago, where I can't remember who it is that initially came up with the unschedule. They have a book out, but Guillermo wrote about how when you do the unschedule, you basically look at your schedule for the week, and first you put the things that are most important, the things that are connected to your life. Like maybe you have a kid in school who's going to be having a birthday party celebration at school that day, or maybe it's a special anniversary and you want to be able to take your partner out for lunch. Or you'd really like to hit up a yoga class that just happens to be at 10 a.m. on a Thursday, which is a random time. You put those things in because those are important to your lifestyle happiness level. And then around that is where you schedule your writing time. And the reason that I think it's so important to do this is because if you're happy and you're fulfilling yourself on an emotional and a physical level, and if you're reaching out to your friends and your family, you will be a better writer. You will be more satisfied and more guaranteed to enjoy this writer's life. But if you work yourself into the ground because you're so eager to grab those writing projects and make that money and make whatever transition it is that you need to from a job into the writer's life, then it's very easy to get burnt out and to get frustrated. So I remember thinking this when I first started out, that if I don't do this now, you know, like these projects are going to disappear. How am I even going to be able to make something of myself if I put this off for another couple months? And the truth is, the writing projects, the demand, it is only getting bigger. Jump in now and start making your way, but make sure that you include happiness and joy and time with friends and family along the way, so that you stay satisfied and so that you enjoy this entire process of reclaiming your life and using writing to define your freedom. So that's what I have.
And eat a lot of pie. I have to tell you, Mindy, my daughter after Thanksgiving said, I said, so how was Thanksgiving for you? How was it? She's like, you know, Mom, I ate a lot of pie. Mindy would be so proud of you.
That's my kind of girl. Exactly. Take pie as much as you can, you know.
Awesome, Mindy. Thank you. So we've gotten through left. Steve, I'm coming over to you now. We've got a lot of shout-outs for you in the QA. People are all about Steve Maurer.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. My very first tip is one that I've written and talked a lot about this year, more than any other year, and that's decide on a specific niche, or as they say in France, a niche. Then you need to define some real goals, and I'll tell you what that means, and develop a doable plan of action. And then the last tip, just dig in and do it, which is kind of obvious. So let me switch over to my notes here. Let's talk about the niche, which is one of my favorite topics, actually. A specific niche is not web or print or TV or radio or brochures or anything like that. Those are actually media locations or venues. Most of my clients use at least 2 of them. And unless you want to split up writing assignments with somebody else, it would be a good idea to be able to write for all of those different venues. A niche is not email, case studies, content, or sales copy. Those are content and writing types or assignments. You can have a specialty. I would recommend you have a specialty that you can be extremely good at, but I think it's a good idea to learn how to write all of those. That's one reason I'm going down to Web Copy Intensive again this year for the 4th time, because they're going to teach us 7 types of content and copy that all fit together for a total package. And the writer that can do a total package is obviously going to get better assignments. SEO is sometimes considered a niche. It's actually more of a skill set and a very good one to have. So now that I probably got you totally confused, what is a niche? A niche, in my opinion, in my definition, is a group of companies or businesses that make or sell products and services that are similar, related, or complementary. In other words, it's an industry or a market. When you look at what I do, in my particular case, I write for the industrial manufacturing overall industry, and that includes people who make bearings and gears and chains and all that kind of exciting stuff. My 2 focuses, or what you can also call a vertical niche, are electrical products and safety products, because I've either worked with or written about both of those extensively for the last, gosh, I hate to say it, but 30-some years. And so that's a good industry or market. When I talk to people in that particular industry, it's easy for me to talk to them and write for them because I understand their market, and that's one of the biggest reasons you really would like a specific niche that you either have worked in, know a lot about, or can learn easily, because I've always said that if you know what you write, you'll know how to write it and what it's worth to the client and the prospect. So you already have a big jump on anybody who's just writing anything, sometimes called a generalist. So you can get very specific. A niche also will allow you to focus your marketing, your own personal marketing, both your inbound marketing and your outbound marketing. And 2 examples of that would be your website and your LinkedIn profile. I kind of like LinkedIn. It's not a bad place to be. And you're able to craft a message that will speak directly to your clients, to your ideal clients. And so you can find the right clients when you do a search. It's very easy for me to find people in my industry and connect with them because I am so focused in what I write and who I write for. But the other really cool thing is the right clients can find you. I was coming home from a big box discount store that begins with a W the other night, and I actually found I looked down at my phone, and it was blinking, and there was a message. And that message happened to be from a company up in Wisconsin that sells electrical products. And he said, I found your website. I need some help in B2B industrial manufacturing content. Could you please give me a call? And so right after the call today, I'll be getting on there and talking to him about what kind of concerns he has and what kind of stuff he needs written. And I understand his product. I haven't used his, but I've used similar products. I have actually written for companies where I have been their ideal customer. And when you can say, I know your stuff intimately and can write it probably better than anybody else, they really appreciate that. And so my number one biggest hint would probably be defining a specific niche. And we have all kinds of information and articles and webinars on AWAI about how to determine your niche. The first thing I studied was Pam Foster's program on choosing a niche. So that would be my number one biggest tip for getting great success in 2018 would be to define your niche and then run with it. The second one would be to define some real goals. Money goals, prospecting goals, business goals. Ted Capshaw spoke at boot camp about SMART goals. The A in SMART stands for attainable or achievable. And my suggestion here, though, is don't make them too easily attainable. If everything you have on your list of goals is easy to accomplish, you just have a to-do list, not really a set of goals. And if you miss a goal deadline, reset it. Don't get all bent out of shape. I have had a goal for years now. It seems like to leave my job, and every time I set that goal, I miss that sucker every time. And the neat thing is, I miss it a lot closer every time. When I started with AWAI back in 2013, my first full year, I was making $4,000. This year, my writing income equals and actually has passed my job income. So even though I still have a job, I've effectively doubled my income in the last 3 or 4 years, and that's always a good thing. My last one is to develop a plan of action. Make it a logical plan for each goal. One step leads directly into another, and that step leads directly into the next one. Keep it simple and manageable. Don't get too fancy with your goals. I'm kind of a simple guy, and if I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm happy because I can accomplish that. And then the biggest thing on developing your plan of action is to focus on effort instead of numbers. For example, work on list building and prospecting for 20 minutes each day instead of saying, I've got to make 10 contacts, new contacts every day. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier on you, and you'll get some better contacts by focusing on the time and effort put in and not necessarily getting the numbers. And then I did mention that you got to dig it in and get it done. Keep your dream in front of you and realize that you can actually live part of your writer's life right now. I know I haven't left my job yet, but when my daughter needed emergency dental surgery and they said, well, you get a discount if you can pay cash, I walked up to the bank and got into my writing account and paid $1,600 without even thinking about it. And we're able to send stuff to my folks back home. They have already retired. They're not probably the best of health, and we've been able to help them out monetarily. And when I looked at it, those were actually a part of my dream of a writer's life that I was actually accomplishing right now, and that is very, very rewarding in and of itself.
Well, heck, now I have to talk again.
Oh, do you want me to say some more? I can.
No, hold on a second. This is the idea of being able to take care of your children when you need to hits it close to home. So that was awesome, Steve. Thank you so much for sharing. I just wanted to take a breath. Okay, and then talk about this idea of doing it, because when I got everybody's notes for the call today, that was a very consistent theme. It was just like this, just do it. And I'm guessing it's because all three of you have spoken so far had that hesitation that many people on the call right now have. And you're wondering, like, what is the right step? I don't want to make the wrong move. The wrong move is no move. Like, I was helping my son learn this lesson last night. If you don't make a choice, that is making a choice. That's choosing not to do something. Excellent. Hopefully my son will learn it as quickly as you all did, but doing it. So don't worry, like, don't look for the perfect plan or the perfect goals, or you have to have this right, or you got to finish this course or that webinar. Like Les was saying, you just got to do it. Whatever you think is the right step in front of you, just do it. Even if it's the wrong step, doesn't even matter. There's really no wrong step, because by moving forward, you are going to learn so much more, and momentum and doing is what gets it done. Like, you have to actually do stuff to move forward. So whether that's to put up your LinkedIn profile today, just do that. That would be plenty. And then tomorrow to pick a niche. And we've got free webinars. I'm going to give you a bunch of links at the end that will help you do these things, but just do something and start moving forward, because once you start doing that, you'll realize that's all it takes. It's not, there's no secret formula. There's no easy button. There's no magical thing that these people have uncovered. They just did it. They just took our advice and moved forward. They took, got the training that they needed, but then started doing and putting themselves out there. And such a great way of ending your section, Steve. So thank you. All right, Pam, take us home.
Okay, so I came up with 5, but I'll be short. Mine echo what everybody else was saying, but one of the things that I hear a lot from AWAI members, especially the new ones, is that they get shiny object syndrome, where everything looks good and there's so many opportunities, and I want to do all of these things, and oh my gosh, I started out with web and now I'm seeing something over there. Ooh, the best way to move forward is to focus. So you want to breathe, try to get all the clutter out of the way, and say, today I want my writing life to be about being the best web copywriter there is, and then just follow that path. Take the web copywriting programs, learn all you can, sign up for what was it called, Website Magazine, just get into the web and learn that. And then add on as you can. But if you're trying to do 57 things at once, it's going to be really hard to make traction on any of them. So that's what I learned the hard way when I first joined AWAI 12 years ago. I got so excited about Clayton Makepeace's thing and Bob Bly's thing and Dan Kennedy and this and that and all those different programs they had. And I signed up for all their newsletters, and I just started getting so overwhelmed I couldn't move. I became paralyzed. So that's when I, was so happy to find that Rebecca shared the web focus with me and excitement about where it's going, and that's where I really hung my hat. I said, web is it for me, and everything else has to take a back seat for now. So focus, focus, focus. I also echo the whole niche thing, where if you're focused on one industry, it's so much more fun and easy to really immerse yourself in it, and then you become an expert copywriter in that field, which is so valuable to clients, and it makes your life easier for marketing and learning. Speaking of learning, my second one is just to keep learning. Mindy mentioned that I have been around a while, probably a really long time, and I never stopped. I'm like, I just became a grandmother, for God's sakes. It's hard to believe, but I always keep learning. I love learning. I've been to every single web intensive since the beginning of time. I've been to almost every boot camp. I've been to, everything I can gobble up and learn. I mean, face it, things are changing. So you have to stay on top of it, and that's what's so much fun about this field. If you love it, you never run out of things to learn about. So keep learning. Once you have really mastered a focus, such as web copywriting, then you can expand your services. So ideally for the next year, what I would recommend is to look at your clients. If you have clients already, don't work as hard on trying to get new clients as you do on expanding your relationships with those clients who already love you and already pay you. I highly recommend setting up or offering a retainer plan for the year. And by retainer, I mean set up a contract for the year where maybe you're doing 2 blog posts a month at a certain rate a month, and they lock it in for the year, or 2 articles, or a series of web pages, or maybe a case study a month. But set up a regular, offer to set up a regular plan, like a content plan with them that they can count on and budget for, and you can count on as revenue. It's a wonderful way to set yourself up in 2018 to have reliable income, steady, reliable work. We do have an Inside AWAI retainer session, so go back on that Inside AWAI page and scroll down for the retainer one. Talks all about that and how to make that work. I also am in the honor of being in the same audience with Steve Maurer, who is the king of LinkedIn. He has made the most of LinkedIn. Just do what he's doing. If you go on there and see Steve Maurer's page on there, how he set up his profile, even the background picture with a phone number on it, and everything he talks about, and how he reaches out to companies and he comments on other people's posts, and then they come around and talk to him and go, hey, can you help us out? He's amazing on LinkedIn. So just follow what he's doing. And I believe we have an Inside AWAI session on that as well. And then finally, take a look at your website. Is it ready for 2018? Is it talking about what you offer your clients? Is it talking about the services you provide and your industry knowledge, for example? If you're in the fitness industry, for example, is your website focused on that? Is it very clear that you are knowledgeable in that industry and that you offer the services clients need? I would do a gut check on your website and make sure it's not all about you, but it's all about what your clients are looking for and need. And somebody asked if Wix is a good platform. Any platform that will get you up and running on your website is great. There's several of them that are simple, easy to use. We have an Inside AWAI on that too. So again, that's an incredible resource to just go back and keep checking on all the different questions you have and see if we've already covered that in the session. Because when we do these sessions, we go into immense detail on those. So those would be my tips to kick off the new year.
Thank you so much, Pam. And so if you guys have other questions, definitely post them in the Q&A. We've been answering as we go. We're going to open it up for questions here in just a minute. But before we do that, and actually I'm going to come back to all of you. If you can all think of, if you could go back and do anything differently, what would that be? I'm going to circle back in just a minute. We'll kick off the Q&A with that question. So think about that thing. We want to help. We've told them what to do. Now we need to tell them what not to do. So think about the learning curve that you've already been through. What's something that you've learned, a lesson that you've taken away that if you could do it again, you know now that you would do something different. But before we do that, I'm going to circle back to them just to close this out, because I promised you a quick kind of snapshot of the things that you need to do to be effective within a year. The first thing is to understand the opportunity and your value. If you're brand new to AWAI, if you're brand new to this world of paid writing, take the time to really understand. When I say that there are millions of companies, that this is a, that they're spending billions of dollars on advertisement, the direct response industry is a $2.63 trillion industry. What does that mean? You really need to understand who the clients are. When we talk about a niche, what is that? We've put together a 9-step blueprint for becoming a working writer. If you're new, please go through that. It will open your eyes so that you understand just how big. We've all been saying it's so big, there's so many projects, there's so many companies, but what does that actually mean? What are you actually doing for them? If you're brand new, start there. All of these links will be live in the playback afterwards, but go through that blueprint and understand your value. Even if you're brand new, I always use the same analogy, or I've been using it lately, but the dentist does not go to school to become a dentist only to hang his shingle out on the first day of being a dentist and say, hey, I'm brand new, can I please work on your teeth, right? No, they go out and they say, hey, I've done the training, I have the skills, I'm a professional dentist, this is what you should expect to pay me to work on your teeth. The same goes for you. When you step out there, knowing your value, knowing that you have the skills. If you've taken any AWAI program, I mean, I'm a little bit biased since I've been here for 13 years, but everybody on this webinar will attest too. If you've taken the program, if you've gone through it, if you've done the work, you have the skills. You now have the value. You know what you're doing. So value that. You're not asking for a favor. You're not asking someone to give you a chance. You're providing a professional service from day one, and you should be paid for it at a professional level. So really understand your value. We cover it in detail in that blueprint. The second thing is to get the training. You know, we've talked about the most in-demand projects. We talk about them in other Inside AWAIs. Our website is littered with different opportunities for you. Pick an opportunity that you want to learn and then learn how to do it. You know, the accelerated program is usually where we recommend people start. But if you have watched a past Inside AWAI session and you love emails or writing content or writing case studies or whatever it is, get the skills and keep learning, like Pam said. I was talking to Ed Gandia one day, a very successful former AWAI member, and he was saying, you know, you never know what's going to get you invited to the dance. Once you get invited to the dance, then you've got the pick. You can recommend all kinds of stuff. But it's great to start having, you can start with emails, but it's great to also learn while you're waiting for the next client to learn search engine optimization, to learn how to write websites, to learn how to write marketing funnels, or whatever it is that interests you, because it's just one more thing that you can offer to clients. And that way, maybe today they'd get you in on emails, but then like a couple of them were saying, Pam was saying about expanding one client. Great, you hired me to write an email, but where is this email going to link to? Can I write that page? How are people going to get to these emails? How are they going to set up? Can I write that page? Can I write the emails that come after these emails? Can I write the content that's going to go to these people later? The minute the door is open with a client and you have started working well, keep on learning, keep on getting more skills just so you have more to offer them. The best case scenario is that you have, if you want to live a freelance life, is that you just have 3 or 4 clients who give you all the work that you need so that you never have to worry about, you know, wondering where your next project is. You just keep, like Mindy, you just call me up and say, hey, Rebecca, what about this? Hey, Rebecca, can I write a promo like that? You know, once you start, that's what it looks like, and you just keep on keeping on. Or you're like Steve, where I'm like, hey, Steve, can you do this now? How about this now? Can you do this presentation? Can you do this article? And he just says yes. And if he can't do it, he goes to AWAI catalog, he downloads the course, and he figures it out, and he gets it done. So, but get the training on those projects that you want to be able to supply your clients. The third one, everybody said this, and I can't hit it hard enough, pick a niche. I don't care what niche it is, just pick a niche. We have a webinar that we recently did on it where Pam walked you through the best way of doing it. You know, I recommend this way, and this is the way that Steve Maurer went. He picks the niche that he works in, and he is a very specialized writer, but man, if you're in his industry and you need a writer and you look for that word, that phrase, who are you going to find? Steve. And of course they're going to call him because he's the copywriter in that space. That's the easiest place. But we do talk about other ways of picking a niche, whether it be your interest. If you've done martial arts for 10 years, great. If you are a niche in martial arts, fantastic. Or if you're a buyer, you're a new mom and you are terrified that your baby, something's going to happen to it all the time. You know what that experience is like. You know what it's like to be fearful if your baby is still breathing, if the water is too hot in the bathtub. Maybe you go work for infant safety, or maybe that's your niche because infant safety products, because you know the prospect. You are the prospect. Those fears resonate with you, and so that you can speak to them. Or you're the customer, like what Steve Maurer was saying. All of these guys, everybody who writes for us, all of our top copywriters are all former AWAI students. They loved our products and services, so who better to write, and they are the prospects, so who better to write for our stuff than them? So think about the companies that you buy from and go to them and say, I'm your prospect. I'm a buyer. Who knows you better? Who knows your people better than me? Whatever it is, though, however you pick your niche, and again, we have lots of free training on doing it, just do it. Because even if you make a mistake, even if you hate the niche 6 months from now, even if, let's say, you pick solar technology and you realize you hate solar technology in 6 months, you're going to have so much experience already in building a business and understanding clients and putting up a website and a LinkedIn profile. You'll have so much experience in that part of it, you'll be able to apply it to another niche so much faster. It'll take you a couple of days to switch your niche as opposed to, you know, building up. But again, not picking is making a decision. So pick. Doesn't matter what it is. Just pick it. And then finally put together a plan. I think Steve talked about this. You need clients. Again, it's one thing to have skills. It's one thing to attend webinars and take programs, and that's really fun, and I want you to do that. That's awesome. But we've got to have people pay you for those skills, and so put together a plan of how you're going to get clients. We recently released a product that had 26 different ways to get clients, so that will be on our catalog soon. But whether you're an introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between, there are multiple methods for you in that program. You just need a plan of how you're going to do it. We've had tons of free webinars, and they give you some links to those. Again, it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you do it. You just need people to pay you for your skills, and you should have a plan. It's easier. It doesn't feel so scary. It doesn't feel so vague. If I just say, go get clients, oh, okay, I'm going to go get clients. How do I do that? Like, you know, do I go to the store and buy them? It doesn't work like that. just have a plan. And we've given you so many plans, and I'm going to give you some links here in a second. But just put together a plan. If you're coming to Web Intensive in February, we're going to take care of that part for you. We're going to teach you all the skills and then actually help you do your samples and put together your business for you and help you bring in clients. But whatever it is, just have a plan and follow through. These are some links that you can come back to. They'll be live in the playback and are available on the Inside AWAI page at any given time, different ways that you can get clients. I also add this last one, understanding what clients want and how to approach them. Pam Foster did a great job on that one, just to kind of demystify, the magical marketer, the magical client, the mysterious person behind the computer. She really kind of pulls back the curtain and says, this is what they're looking for. This is what they want you to tell them. This is what their pain points are, so that you can kind of be comfortable with that and not put them on a pedestal, if you will, but really see them as someone that you can help. Okay, so now I'm coming back. We're going to open up the Q&A. So I'm going to start. We'll go the same order. So Les, what was the one thing that you would do again, or piece of advice that you would say, don't do this? And if you have any other closing advice before we wrap things up.
Sure. So what would I do differently? I wouldn't hesitate. I said it before, just start. And this is kind of the opposite of that. It's, it's the what shouldn't you do? You shouldn't hesitate. So probably better than anyone, Rebecca, I bought the accelerated program back in 2005, but I didn't really get started on it until the end of 2013. That's a long time, and it cost me too. A lot of the folks on the call, and some of them don't, but know that I moved to Mexico in 2005, and I was going to pick up copywriting as a part-time income while I was there. Well, I didn't do it. And when everything in the world economy crashed, I hightailed it back to the U.S. and ended up right back in an IT job for another 5 years, getting stressed out and not getting any sleep. So if I just started it, if I hadn't hesitated, if I'd followed through instead of waiting around, how different would it be today? I might still be living in Puerto Vallarta, right? Wouldn't that be horrible? So now, I have started. I'm a full-time copywriter. I'm also a freelance copywriter. And guess what? We just got back from a Thanksgiving trip to Puerto Vallarta, the first time I've been there in 5 years. And we're looking at places to buy there. So don't wait. That's what I'd do different. I can't take back all those years. And once years are gone, you can't take them back either. But woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't help anyone. So the opposite of just start is don't hesitate, and that's my closing advice. Oh, and on niches, everybody said that. People fret over picking a niche, like you said. Pick it out in a few days. Don't spend months and months doing it. Don't overthink it. Pick something that you know and love, or both. And just remember, it's a way to focus your energy and your thoughts. And that niche doesn't have to be forever. So don't freak out over it. Let it get you started. Once you get started and you start making some money, you can relax a little bit and change it, branch out if you want to. So that's my last advice.
I love that, Les. Thank you. Mindy, over to you.
Yes. If I could go back in time, I would absolutely reach out to other writers sooner. Other writers and clients. And by that, I mean, instead of staying closed off and not really wanting to put your foot out there until you feel like you've established yourself, put yourself out there and say, look, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm excited about, even if I haven't done anything yet. I would have shared my writing goals with my inner circle right away, and by that I mean my family and friends, because I was worried about sharing those things when I first started out. I didn't really tell anybody what I was doing because I was afraid I'd fail, and I didn't want them to think poorly of me. But what I found when I was doing the reality blog that Rebecca mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, during that time, I forced myself to reach out to the people closest to me and to share my goals, and the support was tremendous. I mean, it doesn't mean that they really understood what copywriting was, but they supported my goals, and that helped me, you understand what I'm saying, and that helped me just develop more momentum and enthusiasm and confidence. I'd also reach out to my clients a lot sooner. So like Rebecca just mentioned, Pam's webinar on demystifying the person behind the curtain, I absolutely felt like that when I first started. I was terrified. You'll laugh at this, Rebecca. I was terrified to walk up to Rebecca Matter 9 years ago thinking, oh my gosh, you know, she could or break my life. And, you know, and she was so great and gave me all kinds of advice, not to mention a chance at writing. And you know, now I consider her a good friend. And the other clients that I've written for, they're really all just people, you know. They're people. They have a shared interest in your success as a writer. So build your community. And like I mentioned when I talked earlier, it blows me away on a regular basis how much people help each other out in this world. And you really need that, because working from home and having your own freelance business, it's fabulous, but few people will understand exactly what it is you do as a copywriter. So having that outside support system helps. And the best way to build that support system, the best way to put yourself out there, number one, is to go to live events, to connect with people face-to-face. That's the best way. If you can't do that, then connect on Facebook, through LinkedIn, send them an email, just reach out, put yourself out there, and know that you are very likely to be embraced when you do so.
Excellent. Steve, over to you.
Okay. Gosh, what would I not do? There's so many things. I've had to hire a chiropractor because I've thrown my back out, kicking myself in the butt for all the mistakes I made. But
it's hilarious.
I don't know how many times I've got off with a prospect. You know, I got off the phone with them. I have to, well, we'll not do that again, will we? And by the way, take notes on those things that you mess up on so you don't do them again. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's part of the learning process. I never lose a proposal because I always always learn something from it, even if I didn't get the gig. I've always learned a little bit more about what a client needs. Always learned a little bit more about what the industry is looking for. So you can win with every proposal you make, even if you don't actually get the gig, as long as you can learn. But I think the biggest thing, live events are big time. It took me 2 years to go to my first live event, which was boot camp. And I've been to every one since. This will be my 4th web intensive. The live events are amazing. It gives you so much belief. So much more credibility in the business that if you get a chance to go to a live event, take it. It's well worth the money invested. And every time, I don't know if they know I'm going, but it seems like every time I go to a live event, somebody either calls me before or after or both, and I land a new client. So I don't know, maybe live events are client magnets. I'll have to look into that. But
it's funny, you're not the first person who said that. Like, we've had other people at Web Intensive last year. I don't know if you remember, Lisa Christoffel and Myrna both landed jobs while they were there. And it was like a weird, why would they think to call us like just this day while I happen to be at this event where I happen to have experts that I could talk to about the proposals that they were proposing. And it was just a funny thing. So there's something there. I'm with you.
And another thing about that, sorry, LinkedIn just dinged at me.
Oh, are you getting another client? Oh.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I hate to do that. No, but I think that's another thing to consider is that, you know, we think that around holidays or anything like that clients aren't interested. This is the time of year they're making their budget for next year. And if they want to keep their budget or get a bigger budget, they're going to have to spend some money now. So there's never a bad time to prospect. There's never a bad time to get a client. They need it 24/7. And content marketing is becoming big business. If you can write a blog article, you'd be amazed at what's out there right now. Babycenter.com, if you ever go to that website, is a big article repository, more or less, for new mothers and mothers who are expecting, and they have all kinds of great articles on there and quizzes and stuff like that. It's actually managed and owned by Johnson & Johnson, and they are using it for market research is what that whole website is about. And they have 20 full-time bloggers on staff. And they're using it to develop new products. It's easier for you to ask your audience what they want, and then develop it, and develop a product and try to sell it to your audience. And so content marketing in just about any industry you can think of, there are no bad niches. So my best advice would get a niche and run with it.
Excellent. And Pam?
Well, if I had to do this all over again, I would, I think Les said at the very beginning, be genuine, be true to yourself as to what will make it work for you. I tried to be somebody else. I tried to be a Paul Hollingshead financial genius copywriter, and I really wanted to go that route because I thought that's where the money is and the excitement and all that stuff, but I realized that's not me. I don't really follow the financial markets every day with a passion, and it's not something I'm conversant in. So how do I expect to be a writer in that field? And of course, having worked in the veterinary industry before I made the leap into freelance, I kind of had a V8 moment where I whacked myself in the head and went, duh, I should be writing for the veterinary industry. Hello. And that made it so much easier, and that's who I am. I love animals, and it's all about, you know, helping people who help animals, and I could write about that every single day. I could get up and write about that every day and learn about it and stay involved, and that's what you need to find for yourself. Be genuine to what will fire you up every day, and don't try to be somebody else or think that you have to follow someone else's path just because it looks like a winning path. You really have to follow your own path, whether as it's a full-time job, staff job that you end up getting as a copywriter in-house, or working with an agency, or creating an agency even. I mean, the sky's the limit as to what you can do with your copywriting skills. So make it work the way that fits you.
Very good advice, everybody. I don't want this call to end. But I'm going to, let's just go over to the Q&A really quick if there's anything else. Patty, your biggest obstacle is not knowing the first step to take. We always recommend the accelerated program. I did post a link to the blueprint that we talked about earlier. That will give you a good understanding of the industry and everything, but really start with that accelerated program. No matter what path you end up taking, it is your foundation. So you were asking if there was like a introductory class or something, that's definitely where you need to start. Let me just see what else is in here. Kim, I don't know if you see any questions that need to be discussed. Special education niche. So Pam, someone who's been in special education, do you want to talk about like vertical niches or other things of how somebody could, oh, you already did.
Yeah, I was trying to answer it, but sometimes when the questions pop up where I was going to answer moves, so I'm kind of a spaz in answering questions sometimes. But any niche that you think there might be a possibility in, go ahead and look at that Inside AWAI program that walks through how to find out if that niche has promise for you. I put the link right there under Patty's question, if you guys can look at that. But it's if you go to the Inside AWAI webpage, we actually have a couple on choosing a niche. So check those out. It'll really help you figure out how you even investigate a certain specific niche for yourself.
Excellent. I think we've answered all of the questions. So I'm just going to say, we got a lot of shout outs. Yes, start with that program. It's rock solid. Excellent. Thank you, Karen. All right, guys, going once, going twice. I want to thank our panelists so much, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I always have fun with you, but I just love the fact that you're all so successful and every year becoming more and more successful, and yet still take the time like this to help what I call the next generation of future success stories, people who will be on these webinars, on the panels at our live events. So thank you guys very much for being here today.
My pleasure.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to call this a wrap. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we will talk to you very soon at a future Inside AWAI. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks for being here.